Everyone, hi, welcome to our next English lesson, and the plan for today is
revision, new lesson, and then reading.
reading. Okay, so we can start.
Okay, good morning.
Good morning.
So revision unit 25. Can you tell me 5 words you remember from previous lesson?
Previous gamble, gambling, and diminish, no, inferior, superior, and
the army.
and the army sergeant, and major,
Excellent.
major,
How do we call the positions?
rank.
Excellent. Very good. Thank you. So let's start. Inferior.
Inferior.
Inferior. Polish. Translate.
Inferior. Inferior. Niższy rangą.
Excellent. Superior.
Superior. Wyższy rangą.
Superiority complex.
Superiority complex. Kompleks wyższości.
Inferiority complex.
Inferiority complex. Kompleks niższości.
Excellent. Rank.
Ranga.
Sergeant.
Sergeant, sierżant.
Major.
Major.
Very good. Do you get superiority quality at a low price?
No, I don't superiority.
I don't get
superiority at a low price.
superiority quality.
Quality at a low price.
Very good. You get it?
I get.
You get which quality?
Inferior quality.
Excellent. Do younger children usually feel inferior to their elder brothers or sisters?
Yes. Younger children
Usually
feel inferior
to their elder.
Inferior in general. Inferior to the elder. To the older.
To their elder
brothers and sisters.
Excellent. Which rank in the army is superior to sergeant?
Major is superior to sergeant.
What does it mean to strip a soldier of his rank?
To strip a soldier of his rank means to give him lower rank and lower position.
Okay, when are you likely to feel a superiority complex?
I feel superiority complex when I'm likely to feel superiority complex when I get a better position.
Excellent.
At work.
Okay, there's a person who suffers from an inferiority complex usually diminish or exaggerate their achievement.
A person who suffers from inferiority complex usually diminish his achievements.
Excellent. Who can a customer complain to if an employee doesn't attend to him properly?
If an employee doesn't attend a client properly, they complain to the direct superior.
To the direct superior of the employee. Excellent. Motion.
Ruch.
Motionless.
Bez ruchu.
Motion sickness.
Choroba lokomocyjna. Sygnał informować, wskazywać. Signal. But there is in text there is signal.
There's two, signal and
to signal. To signal, zasygnalizować. A signal and to signal. Yes?
Yes, a signal and to signal.
Signal, zasygnalizować.
What makes people seasick when on a boat?
Movement of the boat make people sickness on a boat.
How can you say movement? Another way to say movement.
Motion. Yes, because now it's motion. Motion on the boat.
Of the boat.
Of the boat make people seasick.
Excellent. What's the motion sickness?
Motion sickness is the unpleasant feeling during a journey.
The people have when traveling?
The people have while traveling.
Yeah, in a vehicle, because usually it's the vehicle, the motion of the vehicle they're traveling with that causes them to have the unpleasant feeling. Are you allowed to get off a train when it's still in motion?
No, I'm not allowed to get off a train when it's still in motion.
When is a murder investigation sent into motion?
And modern investigation is
set in motion.
Is set in motion. Uruchomiony. When the body is found.
Yeah,
Yes.
the body of the victim
is found.
Very good. What can you use instead of signal? What can you use instead of signal?
Instead of signal, I can use motion.
Excellent.
Okay. So what's the synonym? Yes, of motion.
Yeah.
Okay. What's the synonym? Motion is
Motion signal.
signal.
For what reasons do policemen motion for drivers to stop?
Policeman motion
For drivers
to stop. Mostly because they want to check the documents or because for speeding.
Yeah. Because it's speeding usually. What do you do when you want the receipt in a restaurant?
If I want a receipt in a restaurant, I motion it.
To the waiter.
I motion to the waiter. I motion it to the waiter.
No, you motion to a waiter. You just, because you can't show him, you can't motion it because you don't have a receipt. So you motion to the waiter to come and then you tell him or her, I need a receipt. What would you have to see to stand absolutely motionless? What would you have to see to stand absolutely motionless?
Okay, I have to see an angry dog, to snake moving towards to stay absolutely motionless.
To stand absolutely.
To stand.
Absolutely motionless. How do you signal which way you're going to turn when you're riding a bike? How do you signal which way you're going to turn when you're riding a bike?
I signal by moving my hand right or left to show that I want to turn.
When riding a bike. Great. What did they use as a danger or a warning signal in the past?
They used fire.
They used charge. What did they use as a danger or a warning sign or a warning signal in the past?
Maybe fire some.
Okay, fire, but they also used charge. Church bells. We always say it. Oh, church bells.
Just bells?
Yeah, the church bells. No, usually it's one, but it sounds as if they're metal.
Church bells. Church bells.
As a danger or a warning signal.
Okay, yes, okay.
But also fire. I think fire too can qualify as a danger.
Church bells.
Okay. Establish.
Uruchomić, nie uruchomić.
Established.
Ustawiony.
Establishment.
Establishment przedsiębiorstwo.
Mine.
Kopalnia.
When was the European Union established?
The European Union was established in 1952.
Which is one of the oldest businesses in the world? When was it established?
One of the oldest businesses in the world was Mine Wieliczka and was established
1044.
1044.
Yeah. What kind of companies have to establish strict security procedures?
Banks.
Banks, you can say
big companies, factories.
Okay.
Needs to establish strict security.
Strict
strict security procedures.
Very good. Give me an example of a well-established company with a good reputation.
A well-established company with a good reputation in Poland is... What was a good examples? Let me check.
Dell.
McDonald's.
Dell, definitely I wouldn't say Dell.
No.
Dell?
Okay.
You can say McDonald's. Sure.
I don't know. Maybe Johnson.
Yeah, Johnson. Very good. And it's a Polish family. Yeah.
But it's marketing only.
Yeah. But it's okay. What do the police have to establish when they set a murder investigation in motion? What do the police have to establish when they set a murder investigation in motion?
The police
have to establish.
The
police have to establish.
The police have to establish cause of death. If they want to start
when they want to set
an investigation in motion.
Yeah, a murder investigation in motion. Is McDonald's one of the best known and well-managed establishments in the world?
Yes, McDonald's is one of the best known and established well-managed establishments in the world.
Excellent. Shrink, shrunk.
Shrink, kurczyć się.
Shrinkage.
Skurczenie się.
Excellent. Do some clothes shrink when you wash them?
Yes, some clothes shrink when you wash them.
Do you ever buy a larger size of a t-shirt to allow for shrinkage?
No, I never buy a larger t-shirt to allow shrinkage.
To allow for shrinkage.
False shrinkage.
Why has the size of the workforce in Poland been shrinking since admission to the EU?
The working force.
The size.
The size of the working force in Poland has shrinked. After admission to the European Union, because some people emigrated.
Yeah, migrated.
Have migrated
to other countries. For which companies is the shrinkage of the dollar damaging? For those which import or for those which export goods?
For companies which export the shrinkage of dollar.
No, which export goods.
Which export goods, the shrinkage of dollar is damaging.
Very good.
Shrinkage of
because the dollar shrink. Yeah, exactly. Because you think it's literally the dollar shrinking. Predict.
Przewidywać.
Prediction.
Przepowiednia.
Fulfill,
spełniać.
Do scientists try to learn how to predict natural disasters?
Yes, scientists learn to predict.
Try to
learn how to predict natural disasters.
Do you think the predictions about the effect of global warming will be fulfilled one day?
Yes, the predictions of about global warming effects will be fulfilled one day.
Excellent. What do they carry out before an elections to predict the results?
They carry out prediction.
They carry out a survey.
And they carry out survey about
to predict
the results of the votes.
Of the elections.
Elections.
Yeah, very good. And you have elections coming up, right? Apparently, in Poland.
Yeah, yes, generally yes.
When are they taking place?
I don't know.
Who do you predict will become the next president of your town?
The current president I predict will be the next president of my town.
Okay. Do you agree with my will stay the president? Do you agree with my prediction that within 20 years the domestic market for second-hand cars will shrink severely?
Once again?
Do you agree with my prediction that within 20 years the domestic market for second-hand cars will shrink severely?
No, I don't agree with you that the domestic market for second-hand cars will shrink severely within 20 years.
Very good.
Severely, yes.
What functions do kindergartens fulfill?
Kindergartens fulfill the function of preparing kids to the school.
For school.
For school.
Do you feel fulfilled in your job? Do you feel fulfilled in your job?
Yes, I feel fulfilled in my job.
Gamble?
Uprawiać hazard.
Gambling?
Gambling, hazard.
Payoff?
Payoff, spłacać.
What's the capital of gambling?
Las Vegas is the capital of gambling.
What's the most important factor in gambling?
Luck is the most important factor in gambling.
What do people try to do when they gamble?
People try to predict the results of the game when they gamble.
Excellent. Does gambling on the stock exchange ever pay off?
Yes, the gambling on a stock exchange sometimes pay off.
Very good. What is often the result if a person is addicted to gambling?
If a person is addicted to gambling, they lose all the money.
Or they have debts. Yeah, they lose all. They become homeless.
Yeah.
That's what you.
They went homeless and they usually sick.
Oh yeah. You can also get depressions or get into drugs or something. So it's your turn to ask me questions. Predict.
To predict, yes. Yes. Do you like to predict? No, predict. What do you predict will happen when the pandemic will finish?
I predict that the pandemic will leave a severe economic crisis.
Okay.
Yeah, that will affect us all. Yeah, I guess I predict that. Yeah, and I don't think it will end just like right away. I think it will take time. So motion sick. No, payoff.
Payoff. Does learning English pays off?
Yes, learning English or any other language pays off, especially in this day and age.
Okay.
Motion sickness.
Do you suffer from motion sickness?
No. Probably because I haven't really, like probably I'll try on, I've never had an experience in the sea, like on a yacht or in a boat in the sea. I have like on a boat in a lake, but that is very calm. Probably that I don't know. Probably I might suffer from motion sickness because usually people do. Yeah, but vehicle, normal cars, no, I don't. So, signal.
Signal. To signal or a signal?
Yeah, you can use whatever comes to your mind.
Do you usually signal a waiter that you want to pay your bill?
Yes, usually I signal the waiter for the bill. They usually don't bring it before I do signal them. Inferiority complex.
Inferiority. Inferiority. What do students suffer from inferiority complex during a lesson, a course maybe?
Okay, I wouldn't ask a question like that, but students might, if for example you don't understand well the subject and the other students in the class that you see they're following, they're very much ahead of you, you might probably suffer from an inferiority complex compared to other students. Not because of the lesson, just you and the other students because of the lesson.
They are on different levels.
Yeah, exactly.
Or have less experience.
Yeah, and sometimes because you're in the same class, the same teacher is explaining to all of you, others get it, they're way ahead of you, and you're struggling, so it can affect your mind. Very good. One last question. Shrink.
Shrink, to shrink. Other clothes that never shrink. Other clothes that never shrink. Are there clothes that never shrink?
I think so. There are probably some clothes, depending on the materials they're made of, they probably never shrink.
I think only wool
or exactly.
And cotton wool can shrink. Cotton, maybe cotton too, but I don't know.
Wool, I don't think so, but cotton, I think probably.
Well, yes, but then this kind of artificial clothes, I think, never shrink. There's nothing to shrink by them.
Yeah, exactly. So we continue. Also, revision. Unit 26. Exact.
Exact, dokładny.
Accurate.
Accurate, dokładny.
Precise.
Precise, dokładny.
Precisely.
Precisely, dokładnie.
What's the exact time right now?
Exact time right now is 12:30.
Very good. Is your watch accurate?
No, my watch isn't accurate.
Does the lesson start precisely at 12 o'clock?
No, the lesson doesn't start precisely at 12 o'clock.
Are most people able to distinguish a genuine painting from a copy if the copy is very exact?
No, most people
aren't
able to distinguish the genuine painting from a copy if the
copy is very
exact.
Yeah, it's very hard because you have to know how someone draws. It's very complex. What do we use when we repeat someone's exact words?
When we repeat someone's exact words, it means
we use
inverted commas.
Excellent. For what kind of job must you be very precise and skilled?
For almost every kind of job, I must be very precise and exact.
And skilled.
And skilled.
Yeah, you must be, for what kind of job must you be very precise and skilled? Surgeon.
Surgeon, yes.
Yeah, because it requires to be very, if you cut even like an inch, you may reach an organ. So you have to be very precise and very skilled.
Let's say...
It's one of the very where you have to be very, very precise. At least it's one of the definitely skilled, because most of the job requires skills. But to be precise, yeah, it's a surgeon.
Yeah. I think
Which other...
it looks this way, but yeah, they are human.
Yeah, exactly. They are human, but they're not. Exactly, because that's why deaths happen.
It's the way.
Like when they
leave
leave like the materials inside the person, and the person dies.
Yeah,
So when they,
so
you normally you have to be precise.
Where you are about to be skilled and precise. So yeah, no.
Exactly.
So
yeah, I understand your point
I
of
think
view.
more in this job is that your attitude to this job, how you saw,
Your attitude, okay.
The attitude, how do you, how are you about cutting? It means that you have to think about this, know that, and this, and those people who have no idea about it just cut, but then, you compare. You also have to adjust it to the situation, to the patient, to the again situation. So I think it's not enough to be only precise
and skilled. Okay.
and skilled.
Do doctors know what the precise cause of cancer is?
No, the doctors don't know what the precise cause of the cancer is.
Do some twins look precisely the same?
Let's say...
Yes, some.
Some.
Do some, it's not all. Do some twins look precisely the same?
Yes, some twins look precisely the same.
Why is it so difficult to predict the weather accurately? Why is it so difficult to predict the weather accurately?
It's so difficult to predict the weather accurately because there are many factors
to be taken into
to the account.
Molecule.
Molecule cząsteczka. Hydrogen, wodór. Combine, porównywać.
Which gas is the lightest?
Air is the lightest.
Yes.
Which gas of gas?
Yeah, which gas is the lightest?
Gas of gas.
Which gas is the lightest?
Hydrogen? Yes, the lightest.
Is the lightest?
The lightest gas?
Yeah, is the lightest gas. What does hydrogen combine with to form water?
Once again,
what does hydrogen combine with to form water?
Hydrogen is combined with oxygen to form water.
What does a molecule of water consist of?
The molecule of water consists of two molecules.
Two atoms.
Two atoms. Hydrogen and one atom of oxygen.
Excellent. Yeah. What features do modern mobile phones combine?
Modern mobile phones combine features of camera, telephone, and computer.
Very good.
And TV.
Yeah, TV too.
Radio.
Radio.
MP3 player, MP4 player.
MP4 player and iPhone.
And
I think that's enough. Is it difficult for a woman to combine her career with bringing up the children?
No, it's not difficult for a woman to combine the career with bringing up children.
Yes, it is difficult.
Okay.
Yeah, it doesn't mean it's impossible. It's possible, of course, because women do it, but it is difficult. Reserve.
Reserve, rezerwować. To reserve.
Make a reservation.
Make a reservation, rezerwować.
All rights reserved.
All rights reserved, wszystkie prawa zastrzeżone.
In advance.
In advance, na zaś. Na zaś, czyli naprzód.
Okay.
Naprzód z góry.
All rights reserved means the owners of the book or the film or the property has only the authority to publish it. What can we say instead of book a hotel room?
Instead we can say reserve instead of to book.
A hotel room.
A hotel room.
What things do we usually have to reserve in advance?
A hotel.
We usually have to
reserve a hotel room or a
plane ticket,
table in a restaurant in advance.
Is it possible to make a reservation in a hotel if there are no vacant rooms?
Yes, it's possible to make a reservation in a hotel room
No,
if there aren't vacant rooms. If you say that you want to stay longer than one night, they keep some rooms for these clients.
Oh, really?
Try.
Okay. Is it a tradition in your house to reserve a seat for an expected guest on Christmas Eve?
Yes, it's a tradition to keep
To
reserve
seat.
A seat for unexpected guests on Christmas Eve.
In my house.
My house.
What do the words "all right reserved" means?
All rights reserved means that
the
owner of a book or a film have all rights to
has the only
authority to publish it.
Excellent. Novelty.
Novelty, nowość.
Whereof
zetrzeć, znosić.
Give me examples of something which was still a novelty in the first part of the 20th century. Give me an example of something which was still a novelty in the first part of the 20th century.
Internet was the novelty.
Was that really?
And 21st?
Yeah, the first part of the 20th.
20th. 20th. Telephone was the novelty.
Yeah, cars and
cars was the novelty.
Televisions, because they were also improved.
Yes, in the 60s maybe this was at the beginning. Was the novelty in the first part of the 20th century.
A hydrogen-powered car's a novelty. A hydrogen-powered car's a novelty. A hydrogen-powered car's a novelty.
Yes, hydrogen-powered cars is a novelty.
A novelty. Why do we say that the novelty wears off?
We say that the novelty wears off because new things come out.
Every day.
Every day.
Actually, yeah.
Replace the novelty.
Yeah, we become bored. We get used to things. Yeah, we get used to things quickly and then lose interest.
Yeah, for some, something can be a novelty for a certain time.
Yeah.
So, because of time.
Yeah, because of time and because of the human nature, the way we are. We get accustomed to things quickly. If you drank alcohol, how long would it take before the effects of drinking wore off?
It takes a couple of hours that the effects of drinking wears off.
Okay, couple hours.
Wear off.
So, like, can you be precise?
Couple of hours. It depending how much did you drink and.
You can say between, for example, 8 to 12 or 12 to 24. I don't know. 12 to 48 hours.
Independent and your weight also. So.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I don't know. Maybe a couple of hours. Maybe for some people. Depending how much did you drink, so from maybe 1 hour to 24 hours.
So dozen?
Dozen, tuzin.
Decimal?
Decimal dziesiętny.
How much is a dozen?
Dozen is 12.
Is the decimal system based on the dozen?
No, decimal system doesn't.
Isn't based.
Isn't based on dozen. But on 10.
On tens.
Tens.
What does the decimal fraction 1.2 stand for?
A fraction 1.2 stands for 10.
2 tenths.
2 tenths.
2 tenths. What kind of things are sold by the dozen?
Eggs are sold by a dozen.
Conscious.
Conscious, sumie, conscious, conscious.
Clear conscious.
Clear conscious, czyste sumienie.
Guilty conscious.
Guilty conscious to będzie mieć coś na sumieniu. No, it's poczucie winy.
What's the freedom of conscious?
Freedom of conscious is the situation when you can say something freely.
Okay, or you can do something you believe you yourself to be right. Okay. Are you guided by your conscience?
Yes, I'm guided by a conscience.
By mine.
By my conscience.
What kind of people have severe crimes on their conscience?
Criminals have severe crimes on their conscience.
Okay. Why do some criminals decide to confess?
Some criminals
decide to
confess to have a clear conscience.
Very good. Do you have a guilty conscience if you have done nothing wrong?
No, I don't have a
guilty
conscience if I haven't done something bad.
Wrong. I have
a clear conscience.
Excellent. Detach,
rozłączyć. Hood, kaptur.
Zipper.
Zipa, zamek błyskawiczny.
Velcro.
Rzep.
What's the opposite of attach?
The opposite of attach is detach.
Do some types of jackets have hoods which can be detached?
Yes, some types of jackets have hoods that can be detached.
What do we use to attach the hood to a jacket?
We use zipper, Velcro to attach and detach a hood.
Oh, buttons.
Buttons.
What do you have to do if you zip? What do you have to do if your zip is stuck?
If my zip is stuck, I have to move it up and down.
To pull it.
Pull it.
Back and down.
Okay.
How old must a puppy be before you can safely detach it from its mother?
According to the book, 3 months. After 3 months, you can detach a puppy from
its mother. Safely. Apparently. So it's your turn to ask me a question. Detach.
Do you have a blouse with a hood that you can detach?
No. Do I? Let me see. No, I don't have a blouse with a hood that I can detach. Conscious?
Conscious. What kind of conscious do you have? when you teach me English? A guilty conscious or a clear conscious?
Well, I have a guilty conscious teaching.
Yeah. Just asking. Okay.
Okay, clear conscious.
Clear conscious, okay, very good.
Even though it's not a very clear question. Okay, where off?
Well, how long does it take until your shoes get wear off?
How long does it take until?
Until, I know it's shoes, I think shoes also, but maybe your jeans
Gets torn?
gets torn. No, not torn, wear off.
Okay, well,
Well, your jeans.
my jeans wear off, okay.
Until your jeans.
Like, it takes decades.
Decades.
Yeah, because my jeans don't usually wear off.
Wear off. Never wear off.
No. No, there's a type of jean that you might buy, especially the ones that gets decolored, the ones with colors. When you wash it, if the water turns blue, those one usually wears off on time. But I don't buy those kind of jeans, so yeah, they don't. Okay. Combine.
Combine. No, combine these molecules.
Mm-hmm.
And what combine with? Molecule? What's the molecule of water combined with?
So the molecule of water is combined with two atoms of hydrogen and one atom of oxygen to form water molecule. Precise.
Do we start our classes precisely at 12?
No, we don't start our classes precisely at 12. Okay, last question, reserve.
Reserve. What's now the convenient way to reserve a hotel room?
Now the convenient way to reserve a hotel room is online, on the internet, from home. Okay, so new lesson. Detached. So it's detached in the past. Detached. Semi-detached. Cottage. Terraced. Residence. Thatched. Skyscraper. Thatched. Residence. Cottage. Terraced. Semi-detached. Detached. Only in English. Detached.
Detached.
Semi-detached. Terraced. Cottage. Residence. Thatched. Skyscraper. Okay, detached. Translate to Polish.
Detached, domek jednorodzinny.
Semi-detached.
Bliźniak.
Terraced.
Szeregowiec.
Cottage.
Domek na wsi.
Residence.
Rezydencja.
Thatched.
Thatched, kryty strzechą.
Skyscraper.
Skyscraper, wieżowiec.
Thatched, okay.
Drapacz chmur.
It's the same thing? In which type of house does a family get the most privacy? In which type of house does a family get the most privacy?
A family get the most privacy in detached and in
a
cottage.
detached house. Or a cottage.
In a cottage.
Why is it a terraced house cheaper to build than a semi-detached one? Why is a terraced house cheaper to build than a semi-detached one?
A semi-detached house is cheaper to build than detached
terraced.
A terraced. A terraced house is cheaper to build than detached.
A semi-detached.
Semi-detached house because there are more houses in a row.
Or it's usually smaller in size.
Yes.
Because it's usually smaller in size.
Yeah.
They're
Okay,
usually small in
smaller.
size compared to semi-detached. Because semi-detached will be, but the terraced house usually will be small in size compared to the semi-detached one. Okay. Okay, which house will be the most convenient for you? Which house will be the most convenient for you? A cottage, a residence, or a detached house?
The most convenient would be detached house.
Okay, detached house will be the most convenient for you. Okay, why?
Because then you get the most privacy.
Okay, it's about you. Why would you choose it? Because you get more privacy?
Yeah.
Okay.
This is it.
Good. And apparently it wouldn't be so expensive to maintain. Well, it depends which time.
To maintain.
How many
it's hard to
bedrooms do you think a house needs to be considered a residence? How many bedrooms do you think a house needs to have to be considered a residence?
The house needs to have at least 6 bedrooms to be considered
A residence.
a residence.
What's the official residence of the American presidents?
The White House is the official residence of the presidents.
What's the roof of a thatched cottage covered with? What's the roof of a thatched cottage covered with?
A roof of a cottage, yes?
Of a thatched
The
cottage.
thatched cottage is thatch.
Yeah, straw.
Straw.
It's covered with straw. Of course it is thatched, but covered with the straw.
Wickler.
Really? Which two famous skyscrapers were destroyed in the terrorist attack on the 11th September 2001?
Twin Towers in New York were destroyed during
Were the two famous?
Were the two famous skyscrapers destroyed on the terrorist attack?
In the terrorist
attack on
11th
September
2001. Very good. Now we can do reading. Because it's part of the, I won't ask you to ask me questions about it because we did partly. So 19. Yeah. Start with 19 and start with 20. 19.
Lick your wounds. How can we eat ice cream? We can eat ice cream by licking it with our tongues. Is a distinguished habit to lick. Disgusting habit to lick plates, the fork and knife clean after a meal. Yes, it's a disgusting habit to lick plates, the fork and knife clean after a meal. Do people consider it pleasant to be licked on the face by a dog? Yes, some people consider it pleasant to be licked on the face by a dog. When are we likely to lick our wounds? We are likely to lick our wounds after a disappointment. When we've lost a fight, a game, after splitting up with a partner. Stick, stuck, stuck, chopsticks, glue, drawing pin, thumb tack. What can we use to stick two pieces of paper together? We can use glue or a paper clip to stick two pieces of paper together. What do you use to stick something on a notice board? We use drawing pins to stick something on a notice board. How do you stick a stamp on an envelope? You can stick a stamp on an envelope by licking it. What will happen if you fry something in a frying pan without enough fat? If you try something in a frying pan without enough fat, it'll stick to the bottom. What's a stick? A stick is a long thin piece of wood that has fallen from a tree. What kind of sticks do we use for eating? We use chopstick for eating. What things about your last holiday you have really stuck in your mind? The marvelous collection of paintings in the museum has really stuck in my mind. Is there any name your friends called to you when you were younger that has stuck to you since? Yes, there's a name my friends called me when I was younger that has stuck to me since. What was the name? It's shorty, skinny. Root, split, splat, splat.
Speed.
Spit, spat, spat, crude. Is spitting rude? Yes, spitting's rude. Do the police punish people for spitting in the streets in certain countries? Yes, the police punish people for spitting in the streets in certain countries. Is it rude to speak when you're chewing food? Yes, it's rude to speak when you're chewing food. What do we mean by a crude joke? By a crude joke, we mean a rude joke which often involves sex. Why do we sometimes need to spit out food? We sometimes need to spit out food because it's too hot. Would you spit out the meat you were chewing if someone told you it was a rat? Yes, I'd spit out the meat I was chewing if someone told me it was a rat. What do you think it could mean if a woman spat in a man's face? If a woman spat in a man's face, it would mean that he was extremely rude or that he offended her with a crude joke. What do sausages do when you fry them in a pan and there's too much fat? Sausages spit when you fry them in a pan and there's too much fat. Wipe rag, rags to riches. What can we use to wipe dirt from the floor? We can use a floor cloth or a rag to wipe dirt from the floor. What do we make a rag from? We make a rag from a torn t-shirt. Why do we have to wipe the table after a meal? We have to wipe the table after a meal because there might be some liquid spit on the table. Is it polite not to wipe your shoes on a mat when you enter someone's house? No, it isn't polite not to wipe your shoes on a mat when you enter someone's house. What do women use to wipe off makeup from their faces? Women use cotton wool pads to wipe off makeup from their faces. What kind of memories do people sometimes wipe from their mind? People sometimes wipe unpleasant or embarrassing memories from their mind. Have you ever managed to make a remark that wiped a smile off someone's face? Yes, I managed to make a remark that wiped a smile off someone's face. What popular TV programs are based on rags to riches hopes? Idol and Who Wants to Be a Millionaire are popular TV programs which are based on rags to riches hopes. Runny Nose, tablet, cough treatment. What are the most common signs of a cold? The most common signs of a cold are a runny nose and a cough. What must you do if you have a runny nose? If you have a runny nose, you must blow and wipe it with a handkerchief. What treatment do doctors usually suggest for a cough or a runny nose? The treatment the doctors usually suggest for a cough or a runny nose is to take a tablet and drink a lot of liquids. Do we chew tablets when we take them? No, we don't chew tablets when we take them, we swallow them. Can smoking cause a coughing attack? Yes, smoking can cause a coughing attack. Do people sometimes cough to attract attention? Yes, people sometimes cough to attract attention when they have something important to say. What could it mean if you cough up blood? If you cough up blood, it could mean you had a problem with your lungs. Which is usually more serious, a dry or wet cough? Wet coughs usually more serious than a dry one. Carpet, vacuum cleaner, vacuum hoover treatment. What do we move dirt and how do we remove dirt and dust from carpets? We remove dirt and dust from carpets by hoovering them with a vacuum cleaner. How often do you vacuum the carpets in your house? I hoover the carpets in my house twice a week. Why are some dogs afraid of vacuum cleaners? Some dogs are afraid of vacuum cleaners because vacuum cleaners give off strange sounds. If you wanted to paint the walls in your house, would you roll up the carpet or just cover it with something? If I wanted to paint the walls in my house, I'd roll up the carpet. For what kind of gas do they roll up the red carpet? They roll out the red carpet for important guests. Have you ever experienced the red carpet treatment? Yes, I've experienced the red carpet treatment when I was staying in an expensive hotel.
Okay. In which situations have you licked your wounds? Which situations have happened to you that you licked your wounds?
I had to lick my wounds after I did over 10 mistakes in my dictation.
Okay, how do you eat your ice cream?
I eat ice cream by licking it.
Okay.
Ice creams, so by licking them.
Mm-hmm. How do you know? How do you eat an ice cream? Normally, just you like, because usually people take corns, you're definitely going to lick it, or you take, or bite, because your teeth will hurt more. But at a certain point, you have to bite into it, even though you lick it at first. Is spitting rude?
Usually spitting is rude.
Yeah, do you think some people here in Bydgoszcz, do you see people spitting around in the streets?
Yes, they're spitting around in the streets.
Yeah. Have you ever encountered a situation where someone made a crude joke off of you?
Yes, people usually make crude jokes.
But your friends?
in front of me.
But your friends?
And friends, yes.
Mm-hmm.
Especially friends.
Especially, exactly. At least it will be respectful. So, what do we make a rag from usually?
We make a rag from old clothes.
Very good.
And clothes and towels.
Okay. So what are the signs of COVID-19?
The signs of
COVID-19, coronavirus.
Coronavirus is no symptoms, a runny nose maybe, cough, and problems with breathing, yes?
Yes, very good. How do you clean your house? How do you clean your house, your carpets?
I clean my house with a vacuum cleaner.
Very good. Excellent.
Okay.
I don't know if we can do 20 because it's so small. Can you do 20?
Reading? What, 20, now we are 26 lesson.
Yes.
So 20, we are two lessons back. Okay, disease, fever, sickness, smallpox. What's a disease? A disease is a particular illness with a name. A disease often affects a particular part of the body. What's a fever? A fever is a kind of disease and a condition in which we have a high temperature. How can we lower a fever? We can lower a fever by taking a tablet, covering the forehead with a cold, wet towel. When and where can one feel a fever of excitement? One can feel a fever of excitement on the stock exchange when it's sliding down. Okay, give me another examples of disease. Another example of disease are smallpox and cancer. Is crime a serious disease in this town? Yes, crime is a serious disease in this town. What would you say was the major disease of modern society? I'd say greed was the major disease of modern society. Conjectures, infectious, the flu. How does a contagious disease spread? A contagious disease spreads by physical contact. Contagious, yeah. How can people pass on an infectious disease? People can pass on an infectious disease through the air by breath. Is the flu highly contagious? Contagious. Yes, the flu's highly contagious, but it's highly infectious. What kind of flu affects chickens? Bird flu affects chickens. Can bird flu spread from birds to humans? Yes, it's believed that birds flu can spread from birds to humans. Why can an infectious disease be worse than a contagious one? An infectious disease can be worse than a contagious one because it spreads more easily and faster. What would happen to the world if AIDS was a highly infectious disease? We'd all die if AIDS was a highly infectious disease. Can a laugh sometimes be contagious? Yes, laugh can sometimes be contagious. Vaccinate, vaccination, immune improvement. Why do we vaccinate? We vaccinate to become immune to diseases. At what age are children vaccinated against smallpox? Children are vaccinated against smallpox at the age of 2. Are vaccinations against the flu become more and more popular? Yes, vaccinations against the flu are becoming more and more popular. Why? Because you become immune to the flu and you don't need to take days off due to sickness. Are you immune to criticism? Yes, I'm immune to criticism. What factor has been the most important in the improvement of children's health? In the last 50 years, vaccination have been the most important factor in the improvement of children's health in the last 50 years. Luxury fur. Is a Skoda Fabia a luxury car? No, a Skoda Fabia isn't a luxury car. What, in your opinion, are the signs of leading a life of luxury? In my opinion, fast and expensive cars are the signs of leading a life of luxury. If you won €1 million in the lottery, would you be able to live in luxury for the rest of your life? Yes, if I won €1 million in the lottery, I'd be able to live in luxury for the rest of my life. What are animals sometimes hunted for? Animals are sometimes hunted for their fur. Why do some people wear fake furs and not real ones? Some people wear fake furs and not real ones because they're against killing animals for furs. If you were strongly against furs, would you rather go naked than wear one? Yes, if I were strongly against furs, I'd rather go naked than wear one. Do people get used to living in luxury very quickly? Yes, people get used to living in luxury very quickly. What kind of luxuries can you afford? I can afford such luxuries as going abroad on holiday 3 times a year. A dormitory. Where do some students live when they're at a university in a different town than their hometown? Some students live in a dormitory when they're at university in a different town than their hometown. Which is usually more expensive, to stay in a dormitory or to rent a room or a flat? It's usually more expensive to rent a room in a flat than to stay in a dormitory. Mosquito net, mosquito screen, suck, malaria. What's one of the most hated insects? The mosquito is one of the most hated insects. What do we usually do when a mosquito bites us? We usually scratch when a mosquito bites us. How do mosquitoes feed? Mosquitoes feed by biting and sucking the blood of humans or animals. What disease can be spread by mosquitoes? Malaria can be spread by mosquitoes. What do people put in windows or over their beds for protection against insects? People put mosquito net screens in windows or over their beds for protection against insects. What would you think of a person who was talking a drink loudly in a restaurant? I think a person who was sucking a drink loudly in a restaurant was rude. How does a vacuum cleaner remove dirt from a floor? A vacuum cleaner removes dirt from the floor by sucking it off.
Excellent. So some questions. Have you ever lived in a dormitory?
Yes, I ever lived in a dormitory.
Have you ever been bitten by a mosquito?
Yes, I've ever been beaten by mosquito.
Do you use mosquito nets or screens in your house?
Yes, I use mosquitoes screens in windows in my house.
Okay, excellent. Have your children received any vaccinations?
Yes, my children have received some vaccination.
Have you ever been vaccinated against smallpox?
Yes, I've ever been vaccinated against smallpox.
Are you immune to criticism?
No, I'm not immune to criticism.
Really? You should be.
Yeah, but when you think about the situation longer, then nobody's
okay, nobody is immune
to the criticism.
But okay, I wouldn't say immune, but you can rise above it. You have to be, I don't know how to say it. It depends on the person.
Yeah, I think people who can manipulate other people, this one of this, then you realize that you have no chance.
Right, exactly. Yeah, I understand. Okay. So, okay, do you think, for example, education in Poland have improved?
No, I don't think that education in Poland has improved.
Okay.
It's going down.
Really?
Yes, because teachers are not motivated, but demotivated by the system.
Okay.
Yeah.
Usually most of it, even that can't. I understand.
When they protest and...
Where do you think teachers are most respected in Europe?
Well respected? I think nowhere.
Really? What about German?
I think it's...
Because they're one of the highest paid people, like professions in Germany. You don't think so?
Well, it's like in Poland. If there is a school who how does it call? Not apply, but who? Or maybe gathers only the best students. There's in every big city is 1, 2. In Bydgoszcz maybe there are 2 schools. There are, and they preparing well. But if to get to the school you have to have the best notes. Yes, and they take best 50 students in this region.
Okay.
So they don't have no problems with teaching them, even if it's PE. You say do this, they don't do this, because they have a goal to pass the matura exam at least in 90%. So they learn, they have parents, they have very good professions. No problem. And the same is in Germany. And in Germany, when for example, there are schools with full class with immigrants. So they have no chance. Like they have one thing, they are from different continents and different backgrounds, and usually the backgrounds are very sad, like very bad experience in their life. So then to speak to them and to get to them in one way, so there is no way to teach them well, and even then it's
it wouldn't be as efficient.
It's not about the country, as you can say in other countries, but like I also thought that in Switzerland everybody speaks 5 languages, but we had here a Swiss person, real Swiss person learning Polish, and no, she said no, and they speak only their own dialect. When she goes to another part of Switzerland, they don't speak this dialect, so they try to speak German, common German. So it's a foreign language to them. If they really don't want to learn, they don't speak French. Actually, they should speak, because because it's a part of Switzerland, and she doesn't. No, because she doesn't.
Only probably some people like that are next to the France frontier. Probably are the only ones to speak French.
If you really don't want to speak a foreign language, you really in Switzerland you don't speak. Even if you attend school and so on. If you really don't want.
I understand.
So it's my way of thinking. It's like, but this is the way of stereotypes, and people have these stereotypes because it makes them think easier. That's why Switzerland used this red cross, and then you see on German products made in Germany. Because then you have, this collocations, then it means nothing. But in general, maybe not exactly nothing, but still.
But to some extent.
Some extent, yes.
So how can you lower a fever?
I can lower a fever by using a rag, yes. Wet, cold rag on my forehead.
Towel.
Towel even, okay.
Is crime a serious disease in Poland?
Yes, crime in white corals.
White color.
Corals is a very serious crime in this country. Yes.
Okay, so give me an examples of diseases. Of disease.
Of disease, smallpox, diarrhea,
Cancer.
cancer,
Excellent. So, is
chickenpox. Yeah.
is flu contagious or infectious?
Flu. Flu is physical contact is contagious. Yes, physical. Oh no, we don't need a physical contact. You just need to be.
So it is infectious.
Infectious.
Very good.
Yeah.
Excellent. So, AIDS, HIV/AIDS, is it contagious or infectious?
Contagious.
Very good. Example of a luxury car you like.
Luxury car.
That you like.
Not every Mercedes, but
Yeah.
half of Mercedes
Products.
is cars are luxurious. BMW too. But even not now, but Lexus. But there are some Lexus they're not like luxurious.
Yeah.
Lexus, and it's also Infinity.
I don't know that one. Okay.
Infinity is a part of.
I don't know that one.
It's not Nissan. Infinity is one of these Japanese,
Okay, great. Okay, very good. So before we end today's lesson, I would like you to tell me like 5 words, new words.
New words.
Yeah, type of houses.
Type of houses is cottage, terrace, detached, semi-detached, and
in the woods, in the forest.
in the woods, cottage.
Excellent.
Cottage, only cottage.
Very good.
And was thatched.
Thatched too. Or?
Skyscraper. Yes.
Very good.
Okay.
Excellent. Thank you very much.
Yes. Bye. This is all for today.